Hello, friends. Happy whatever day this finds you. How are we doing today? Well, we are enjoying a Sahara apple spice tea blend. It is a rooibos tea with, well, apples and spices. And that one's for you. Also found some gluten-free hobnobs. I don't know if you've heard of those. I don't remember where they come from. England, maybe? I don't know. Somebody can tell me. But they are amazing. And the fact they're gluten-free, love it. Anyway, remember at some point to get up, to stretch a little bit, to drink some water, take your meds if that applies to you. Eat something if you can. And I hope that you remember that you are loved, you matter. I'm so glad you're here with me. And I hope you have an awesome day. Let's give this tea a try. Oh, it smells like almost like apple pie, or apple pie filling anyway. Oh, that is amazing. A little honey, so I think I'll get us some honey. That is so good. Anyway, I forgot what I was going to say. I wanted to talk about some of the books that I'm reading this summer and that I've been enjoying as I go through my summer. Wow, this is... Anyway, on the weekends, I like to try to go to the pool and swim a few laps and read. Today was perfect. There was a slight breeze, so I was in the shade. I was out in the sun for like a couple minutes, swimming a lap. Then I come back in, sit in the shade, feel the cool breeze, read my book, go back out, swim a lap. I really can only do 3 laps before I'm exhausted and like some serious fatigue sets in. But I'm trying to slowly build my endurance. Anyway, the first book I want to talk about is Beware of Chicken, Book 3. So this series is set in a world, the same world that a lot of fantasy martial arts films are set in, where there's chi power and spirit beasts and, you know, different ranks and power levels and all that fun stuff, except that the main character is super powerful at this point, but he runs a farm. It's a great story of the responsible use of power. There are definitely characters in the book that are all about themselves, what they can get out of the world and take, but to see that balanced by a character who has no interest in wealth from the standpoint of luxury, you know, is really cool. And then the way that influences his disciples, like, you know, and anyway, it's a really good story. It's cozy. Yes, there's action. There's still some language. So even though it seems like it's a kid's book, I would say parents just, you know, that's really all the books I recommend. Like, don't assume that just because I used to be a teacher, it's a kid's book. Like, you know, anyway, moving on. The other book that I am reading is Transformation Soup by Sark. So I'm still reading that. And it is very much a book about healing. It's about the mindset that we bring to healing. And she definitely brings some challenging viewpoints that has really made me rethink how I approach my healing journey. Very much leans into that healing is not linear. And the book is kind of all over the place, but I like that because it doesn't get to this point where like, oh, this is boring and she's just repeating herself. It makes it feel like someone, like she took her journal that she had been writing in while she was on her healing journey and said, oh, hey, here are my notes from the last few years of my healing journey. This might be helpful to you as well. Highly recommend it. I love her approach. Like I said, I keep saying that over and over again. I love her approach to healing. It's been a really enjoyable read so far. The other book I have been reading is A Fellowship of Librarians and Dragons. Fellowship of Librarians and Dragons by Jay Penner. I have been really enjoying this book. It follows a story of Dolly, the dwarf, who has tea magic, where she can literally like take a cup and magically make a cup of tea. I absolutely love that. When Penner introduced her in her other book about the baking contest, I was fascinated with Dolly. So I was so excited that she was getting her own story. And I love that she is a character who struggles to be honest with how she's feeling. And so as we see her go through her own challenges, I'm hoping, I'm about not quite a quarter of the way through the book so far, but we're seeing her feeling challenged where she keeps trying to hide her emotional pain from her friends and those around her. Like, she feels like she has to always have this smile on her face. And for those of us who have mental health struggles or any form of neurodiversity who feel like we have to mask every day, I think you'd really relate to her character in that feeling of this instinct of keeping our frustrations from others. Anyway, great book so far. Really enjoying it. It's a really good read. Another book that I just started is called Wingfeather Tales, and it is by, it's by Andrew Peterson, who wrote the Wingfeather Saga. And my niece is absolutely in love with the Wingfeather Saga. My niece was showing me this book she has about the different magical creatures within the stories. And I always love to see that, when creating a very immersive world that you could almost imagine is real or exists just outside of our own. And so I've really been enjoying it so far. The last book on my list, I know, I read a lot of books because what I'm interested in reading varies, ADHD. And so since I can't ever stick to one book, I just say, hey, I'll just have them all rotating. Whatever I feel like reading in the moment, I read. Anyway, until I hyperfixate on one story and then I devour it in an afternoon. So I also like graphic novels, and the graphic novel that I've been reading is called The Worst Ronin. And it's an interesting world because they're wearing samurai clothing, and they're samurais, of course, hence the Ronins, but there's also cell phones. And so it's this interesting blend of ancient and modern technologies, and a little bit of magic and magical creatures. And it's very much one of those never meet your heroes stories. And the main character, is on her own hero's journey. And along the way, she meets one of her idols. And the way they interact and their characters play off of each other is, see Into the Spider-Verse and Miles Morales with Peter B. Parker. It's kind of like that. So far, I'm really loving it, and I'm really excited to see where the story is going to unfold as it fully develops. Anyway, so for those who are interested, that is what I've been reading lately. How about you? What have you been reading this summer, and what books do you recommend I tackle next? Let me know in the comments. I love hearing what you guys are up to, what you're doing. I'd love to hear about what you're reading. And I'm going to keep reading, and it is time for your next adventure. I'll miss you. Cheers.